Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Language of Leadership. I am your host, Chuck Marting. I had a couple questions come in asking me about goals and what I'm currently reading. I guess that's because of my constantly sharing what I've read and also asking our guests what they would recommend for leaders to read to help them in making improvements in our leadership journey. Bob Proctor has made a significant impact in my life with his books, seminars, and even his interviews. He did this throughout his lifetime. And one thing he mentioned, and he mentioned repeatedly, was studying material for extended periods of time, even up to years. Now, this really intrigued me. Like most people, I found myself reading a book, putting it on the shelf, and then occasionally I would refer back to it or maybe even reread the book. But this was very rare. But in listening to Bob Proctor and hearing how it impacted his life, I decided I would choose a book and make it my daily study for an entire year. And I did this in 2024. The book I decided on was The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Waddles, the same author and book that inspired Rhonda Burns to write and produce the movie The Secret. She also wrote a book under that name and has a huge empire based on the material from that book and movie. Now, The Science of Getting Rich was written in 1910 and was first sold for $1. It is a relatively short read, only 17 chapters, 152 pages. But I can tell you, in the way Bob Proctor teaches this material, in only the first 10 days of that year of 2024, it had been one of the best experiences that I had while reading and truly taking time to study every word and reflect on what I was reading and then applying what I was reading. Now, I can't wait to see how this study will add to my personal development and my growth as I continue, because I've decided to read this book again and to go on this journey again. Now, I chose for the first quarter of this year that book. And I also chose a book to study with my leadership team from a man who has also inspired me over the last few years. And this book was just a release on the first of this year, entitled The Book of Mental Toughness. And it was written by Andy Frisella. I would highly recommend his podcast. The MF CEO podcast was his first podcast when I first started listening to him back in 2016. And his current podcast, Real AF, one of the defining episodes, in my opinion, was his interview with the Iron Cowboy, James Lawrence. It is from this interview that Andy contributed to his moment of bringing to the world 75 Hard, better known as the Live Hard program. Now, I encourage you to listen to that episode and then follow up by listening to Real AF with Andy as he goes into 75 Hard in the Live Hard program. Now, this is not a workout program. Let's be totally clear. It is a mental toughness challenge, and one that if you choose to accept, and it can be a life-changing experience, as it has been for my oldest son, Zach. Myself, I have not made it through this challenge, but I attempted to do it twice, and now I'm preparing myself to do it for a third time. 5 chapters into the book of mental toughness. And I can't say it hasn't been disappointing. So grateful that I purchased 6 copies of this book when it first made its announcement that it was coming out in publication. And I did this within hours of its release. Now, I'm glad that I did, because when it did come out, the first printing sold out within hours. Now, you'll need to go to Andy's website, which is www.andyfrisella.com, and I'll leave that in the show notes for you, for more information on Andy, to order his book, because that's the only place that you can order it from, but also so that you can listen to his podcast. You won't be disappointed. And Andy, if you're listening, I'm not a hoe. I'm sharing the show. But with all of this, I had another thought that has come to my mind, and thoughts that I have had have been questions that I've received as well. Have you ever noticed your inner voice? The voice in your head that either discourages you or motivates you? I want to go on a journey now with you into the depths of our mind, exploring that untapped potential of positive self talk, which can be a powerful conduit for leadership excellence if you learn how to use it. Now, first, you got to understand the inner voice. And this is also something that I got from reading Andy's book on mental toughness. I've read it by several other authors, and it's something that has always intrigued me. And I've seen the benefits of this principle that I'm going to teach you today, going through the leadership of other men and women that have applied it. Now, understanding this inner voice, the phenomenon of the inner voice is both universal and it's also deeply personal. It is the internal dialogue that shapes perceptions, it guides decisions, and ultimately influences the course of your leadership journey. Surprisingly, studies have revealed that only 70% of individuals acknowledge the existence of their inner voice. And more often than not, it resonates with negativity. Now, this raises a pivotal question. What factors contribute to the predominantly negative nature of the inner voice? How does it impact leadership effectiveness? To comprehend that intricate workings of this internal symphony, you have to navigate through the corridors of self awareness. You have to understand the origins of the inner voice, influenced by societal norms, personal experiences, even cognitive biases. This is the first step, though, towards reclaiming your narrative. It's within exploration that you discover the profound influence that your inner voice has on your perceptions and consequently on your decision making. Now, there are transformative approaches. So, to unravel the mysteries of that inner voice, we as leaders must embark on a transformational approach that not only acknowledges its existence, but it's also empowering us to shape it positively. You have to immerse yourself in motivational literature, it becomes a powerful source of inspiration. It becomes a reminder that the narrative that we choose to embrace will shape our reality. Now, equally important to this is the practice of meditation, a voyage into the stillness within, fostering mental clarity and focus. At the heart of this transformational journey lies the mirror exercise. This is something that I've put into practice. My family has done this as well. And this is a principle that I learned through Jack Canfield. Now, this exercise is a reflection of one's worth and their potential. And it becomes a cornerstone for leaders navigating the harmonies of the inner symphony. Now, the mirror exercise gives you in your subconscious mind the positive strokes it needs to pursue your goals and your achievements. And it helps you change any negative beliefs that you have towards praise and accomplishment, which puts you in an achieving frame of mind. Now, just before going to bed, what you do is you stand in front of the mirror and you might want to tell people that you're doing this so that when they walk by the restroom, they don't think you're crazy because you're talking to yourself. Okay. Now, you're going to do this just before you go to bed, and you're going to stand in front of the mirror and you're going to appreciate yourself for all that you have accomplished during the day. You start with a few seconds of looking directly into your eyes in the mirror, and your mirror image is looking back at you, obviously. And then you're going to address yourself by name, and then you begin to appreciate yourself out loud for the following things. You're going to appreciate yourself for any achievements, business, financial, educational, personal, physical, spiritual, or emotional achievements that you've had that day. Any personal disciplines that you've kept. So, if you're following a diet, if you're exercising, if you're reading, if you're meditating, if you have prayer for yourself or your family, These are all personal disciplines that you're going to talk to yourself in the mirror about and give praise for. You're also going to praise yourself for any temptations that you did not give into, like eating that dessert, maybe lying about something, watching too much TV, or even staying up too late, maybe even drinking too much. Now, the key to this is when you're doing this, that you're maintaining eye contact with yourself throughout the exercise. Now, when you're finished appreciating yourself, you're going to complete the exercise by continuing to look at yourself in your eyes and you're going to say, I love you. Then you're going to stand there for just a few seconds to really feel the impact of this experience, as if you were the one in the mirror who just had listened to all of this appreciation. Now, the trick during the last part is not to just turn around or turn away from the mirror, because obviously at first you're going to feel embarrassed, or you're even going to be thinking to yourself, this exercise is really stupid, or this is really silly. But at the same time, it's always a good idea to let your family members, like I said, know that you are doing this so you can be completely alone and uninterrupted during this process. It's not unusual, guys, to feel silly or even embarrassed or just generally uncomfortable doing this. It gets more fun, though, as more often that you do it. And let's face it, you deserve the praise. That inner voice as a leadership tool is so important. With the foundation of understanding and transformative approach in place, like the mirror exercise, leaders can then leverage their inner voice as a powerful tool for leadership excellence. Now, integrating that inner voice into daily tasks becomes a dynamic process, but it's going to enhance your productivity. It's going to help you in aligning your actions and even knowing your authentic self. This integration, it involves not only recognizing your inner voice, but also actively engaging with it as a guiding force in decision making. Now, balancing intuition and analysis is a very delicate and crucial aspect of effective leadership. The inner voice, when turned to positivity, becomes an intuitive guide that complements rational thought and analysis. Leaders should trust their instincts while ensuring that their decisions are informed and that they align with organizational goals. Now, you can also manage stress and anxiety this way. Look, leadership is synonymous with stress, yet the inner voice lies within and can be used as a powerful tool for resilience. You have to recognize stress as an inherent aspect of leadership. Your inner voice is a practical coping mechanism for you as a leader, which can be realized through your positive self talk. The internal symphony, though, becomes a sanctuary offering solace, strength in the face of adversity. Now, coping mechanisms, they extend way beyond positive affirmations. They encompass a holistic approach to stress management. Now, I encourage you as leaders to incorporate mindfulness practices into your daily routine. Mindfulness not only fosters a present moment awareness, but it's also going to help provide you with the mental fortitude to navigate daily challenges with clarity and composure. Real world examples illustrate how leaders have effectively managed stress through the cultivation of a positive inner dialogue and the integration of a mindfulness practice. So, the transformational potential of embracing and utilizing the inner voice is not merely a theoretical concept, but it's a practical guide for sustainability and success in both your personal and your professional realm. Now, I understand and I encourage you to embrace the potential of your inner voice, which many consider to be the linchpin to unlocking your long term success. The narratives shared by leaders, that the transformational approaches that have been explored, and the practical tools offered serve as a testament to the profound impact that positive self talk can have on leadership excellence. So I encourage you to embark on your own journey of self discovery. Embrace the silent symphony within as a guiding force towards your unparalleled success. So until next week, when I bring you another episode of The Language of Leadership, stay focused, stay clear, exercise and work with your mind, and become the leader that you were meant to be. Take care.